Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest episode of the Writers Podcast. I have with me today writer Russell Little. Good morning, Russell. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. And we're here to talk about your latest book, Murder by Storm, correct?
Absolutely.
And do you have your elevator pitch for the book?
Yeah. I think that's funny that you ask it that way.
Okay.
Uh, my Murder by Storm is a continuation of the series Murder for Me. Uh, uh, it's a contest between uh, my antagonist Marilyn, who's always two or three chess moves ahead of the detective who's following her, and uh, that takes place during Hurricane Harvey in Houston, which creeped into Houston over the course of 2 weeks and then stalled and sat on Houston. And so this whole book is happening while this hurricane is tearing up the city.
Wow. Okay. So uh, you've written, this is a sequel, I guess you could say then.
Yes,
Yes. Okay. So I'm curious then, when did you decide that you wanted to become a writer?
my whole life.
Your whole
It's
life? Okay.
just that I had other things that had to be done, just
Okay.
like all of us, right?
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
I mean, even in college, I wanted to be a writer. I remember there was a riot going on, but below my dorm in the street, and I went out because I'd never been in a riot. I've never seen what a riot was like, so I went and got jumped in the middle of it, and then after it was over, I spent 2 hours up in my dorm room writing down everything that happened so I wouldn't forget it. I mean, I've always wanted to do it. Now
Okay.
the thing is, I also had to have a career and make a living. Uh, so I went to law school, went to University of Texas Law School, and practiced law for 40 years in Houston while I raised a family. Was married to the same woman for 42 years while doing criminal and divorce law, which is ironic. Uh, and but I always wanted to write, and all during the time I was raising my kids, I started the same book over and over because, as you know, this is true for your life too, Lou. You go through life and you meet a lot of people, but every now and then you meet a person that's just different than everyone else. Either they have some quirk you can't forget, or there's some kind of they're a psychopath, or uh, they have an innate goodness that just is unlike anyone else. You never forget those people.
Hmm.
The people that I went through during my career, I would put them in my file cabinet of my mind, and I always wanted to write about those people. And I would start over and over and over. When my youngest son left for college, he patted me on the back and he said, "Dad, you're running out of time. You need to finish one." And that's how I got to work.
Okay. And growing up, were you a reader?
No, I had a lot of learning disabilities. I couldn't
Okay.
even speak until where people could understand me until the second grade.
Mm.
Uh, in the third grade, the counselor told my parents I needed to read, and I came from a blue collar town. Okay,
Okay.
my dad was a watch repairman, uh,
Hmm.
uh, but they told my parents that I needed to read the paper every day to catch up with the other kids in reading.
Mm.
And so, starting in the third grade, when I was having toast and grape juice in the morning before school, I would read the editorial page of my local paper.
Mm.
And that opened me up to an entire world of politics and lawyers and reporters and whatever scandal was going on at the time. And that's what I read before I went to school, and that opened my eyes to a bigger world and created ambition.
Hmm.
And that's how I started.
Okay. And did you uh, like when did you said you wrote down ideas and things like that? Did you were you ever trying to write stories?
Yes, of course I did, but
Hmm.
uh, I was a real roller coaster rider. I
Mm.
would write a story and the teacher would totally reject it. And then I remember in the seventh grade, I had a teacher read one to the class because she thought it was so good. So it's a real
Mm.
roller coaster of success and failure, which was uh, true of most of my first 12 years of education because I was usually more interested in girls than I was in anything academically. It was just
Mm.
the way it was.
Right.
But
Okay.
then uh, when I started college, I got serious.
Okay.
And I graduated at the top of the class at Texas Tech and went on to University of Texas Law School, where I was in the top third, and the rest is history.
All right. So between the time that you graduated, became a lawyer, and until like, your last child left for school, you're writing all these ideas down, and then you've.
Actually, I was actually starting books, and I
Oh,
would
okay.
get multiple chapters into the book, and then I would get busy with something else going on in life. Uh, I would have a jury trial, and jury trials is a whole different world of existence. Because
Hmm.
when you're in the middle of a jury trial, you're not a father, you're not a husband, you're nothing. You're in the middle of battle. You're fighting to win, and that's all that exists.
Right.
24 hours a day for
Hmm.
weeks, right?
Hmm.
And then when you get on the other side of that, you've left everything behind because you were in a battle.
Right.
And so you do, and I probably had 100 jury trials during
Wow.
the course of my practice.
Okay. So that's pretty draining and obviously not conducive to
I got
writing.
to, I got
Yeah.
to tell you, it's not. It is well, it is draining, but in another way, it's not because I was an adrenaline junkie,
Okay.
and there's nothing like the juice you get it to in the middle of a jury trial
Right.
when it's you versus the other side versus the judge versus the jury. Everyone's in battle with each. It's spectacular. I mean, I do miss that. I got to tell you,
Okay.
I don't actually do jury trials anymore, and I miss the heck out of it.
Okay. That's interesting. Because that lifestyle is quite a contrast to the life of a writer who's usually all by himself in the locked in a room with his own thoughts and nobody else to disturb him. Uh, did you find that transition difficult or?
Uh, no, because, and you may identify with this because when I'm writing, I'm in the middle of a crowd in my mind, right?
Mm,
I mean, it's the
okay.
crowded head that it, Lord, you're a writer, right?
Yes.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Your mind is crowded while you're writing. In
Yes.
fact, when I finish writing for the day, I'm done. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, it's mentally taxing.
I'm painful. It's painful for me at the end.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now, um, since you've never taken any formal creative writing courses, correct?
My creative writing courses were emotions before course.
Very good. Okay, because obviously writing a novel is a different animal than other types of writing. So, did
But
you?
it may not be so different, Lou, than telling a story to a jury
That's true. Yes, that's true. I can
because
see that.
that's what you do in a jury trial. It's you tell a story.
Hmm. Okay. I'm curious with your when you're telling your stories to juries, do you have that written out ahead of time, or are you just riffing off the top of your head?
Neither.
Neither.
I don't know. Have you read much Cicero?
No.
uh, Cicero uh, was, the great speaker of his time,
Hmm.
and he studied the other great Greek speakers.
Okay.
And there were two things about Cicero. He always prepared everything. He never spoke from a sheet of paper,
Okay.
because if you read it, I mean, it was a real rule of Cicero and the Greek teachers that taught him how to speak, was you never read what you speak. You
Okay.
never read that,
Okay.
but you must be prepared for everything.
Right.
So you're not
Okay.
just pulling it out. You have a war stat strategy, and also I'm a game theorist. Have
Mm.
you read much game theory,
Yep. Yep.
Lou? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a game
Yep.
theorist. So uh, I am in an attack mode on my opponent, trying
Hmm.
to create chaos for him and bring them into the game as I want to play it, right?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and I've thought that out, and I've thought of the contingencies, and I'm ready with what I'm going to say, but I'm never looking down and reading it on a piece of paper.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I could see how the trend that you could use those skills to write a novel for sure. That's because you're very much telling a story at the same time. Um, so once your last child left home and you were able to concentrate more on your writing, how long did it take you to write your first book?
By the way, Murder for Me is not my first book.
Okay.
There was a book before Murder for Me that I
Okay.
wrote, but when I finished it, and after I'd rewritten it several times, I realized it wasn't a book.
Hmm.
It was a character development.
Okay.
And there was no way to save that book.
Right.
So I went on to the next book. So
Okay.
I actually wrote two books before I published a book, because after the long work of writing the first novel, I realized this is not it.
Hmm. Right.
I got to tell you, that was an awful and terrible day when I realized that.
I bet. I bet.
It was terrible.
Okay. So then your second book, how long did that take?
It probably took me a year to write, and it probably took me at least another year to rewrite,
Okay.
because I'm more of a rewriter than a writer,
Right.
to
Okay.
be
So
blunt.
you
I
enjoy the editing process.
I have to have the editing process,
Right.
and it's not. And by the next book, by the time I rewrote Storm, I did love it,
Hmm.
but I had to learn to love it, because I had to learn uh, that how much better it can be when you rewrite.
Okay.
And I had to
Okay.
learn what a good editor can do for you. That's a real learning process that
Right. So let's dive into
I
that a
think
bit.
you have
'Cause
to experience. I think you have to experience an
yeah.
editor, a great editor, before you can appreciate what editing means.
Right. Let's talk about that. So you've got this completed book. What did you do with it next?
Well, let me tell you a story.
Okay.
Of course, you go to editing, right?
Right.
Uh, but during Storm, I had this great editor, and uh, one of my every time I write a book, I have an intellectual goals for the book, things I want to challenge myself on.
Okay.
And in Storm, in Murder for Me, uh, Marilyn, who's the antagonist, uh, the readers, after they read it, wanted to know, why is she the way she is, and how does she do what she does. And so for the book in Storm, I wanted my real challenge for myself was to write from the point of view of Marilyn, a woman, and
Hmm.
do it that it was natural,
Right.
right? And that it flowed correctly.
Right.
And so I had a woman editor helping me. And I remember we would sometimes have our meetings in this cigar bar in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And one day she came in with chapter 6 and 7, and she threw them at me and yelled at me. And the whole bar was like, oh. And I said, I just have my hands up. It's my editor, and they're like, "Oh, okay, Russell, we know who you are." And she was, and because I hadn't got it, I still hadn't got it, and we were still working on it. And when we started talking a couple of weeks later,
Right.
because I was so mad at it, but we finally got it. But an editor is crucial, and when you finally finish your rewriting, that's then you're about to start rewriting all over again after you get a good editor, and that's what you have to learn, and that's what I had to learn.
Right. So, how did you get a good editor?
Well, uh, I that's funny that you asked that. So in Houston, Texas, I went to some of these writers' conventions and
Okay.
I started asking around because, as you can tell, I'm not that shy.
Hmm.
And so I started asking around, and I finally got to a publicist who then had connected me up with her connections with editors, and that's how I got started. But I went to one of those writers' conventions and I didn't sit in the corner, but I started going to tables and asking questions and who knew who and what I was looking for. Of
Right.
course, the trouble with those writers' conventions, Lou, and you know this probably,
Hmm.
is there's a lot of sharks looking to cheat new writers. You
Yep.
got to be alert.
Yep.
And so you got to be able to sniff out that and find all the good people. And there's a lot of good people too who want to help you.
Yep.
And so that's a real challenge. And I had to start and stop two or three times before I found a good one.
Okay.
And
Very
the
good.
second book, after uh, Murder for Me came out, and I self published that one, and it was a
Mm,
bestseller.
okay.
And then at Amazon, then it was easy because I had a lot of people wanting to publish. I had a lot of people wanting to be my editor. So then it was a lot easier.
Right. So,
Right.
are you with a different editor than before? Or
Well, I had different editors for each book. I
okay.
did
Okay. All right. So,
because I frankly had to find a, a good editor who could help me organically speak from the point of view as a woman. And I got to tell you, I have some. It's probably why I was such a good divorce lawyer. I have some challenges with my empathy and other emotional uh,
okay.
context, so I needed help.
Very good. Okay. So, let's turn
Those
a
two
bit.
don't always go together.
Yes. Right. So, let's turn a bit towards your series then. When you wrote the first book, did you know it was going to be a series at that point, or was it just because the book was successful that you continued it?
I no, I knew about. Yes, I did know that
Okay.
because this the battle that I was writing about had several phases, right?
Okay.
And Murder for Me was just the first phase of introducing everyone and the fun of writing a psycho thriller.
Right.
But, just like in a lot of series, the characters shift. You have some character, and also because it's a psycho murder thriller, right? You have
Mhm.
people not making it to the end of the books. So you'll have more characters.
Right.
So, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the
Okay.
main battle between the OC Sims, the detective, and Marilyn, the antagonist, that's what the story's about.
Okay. So let's talk about your. Is she the protagonist or the antagonist, Marilyn?
Antagonist.
Okay.
Marilyn is the psychopath that I've lived 20 years with, writing
Oh.
about and thinking about.
Okay. And
My
I.
wife is sick. She the last time we went to Europe, she said, "Do we have to take Marilyn with us?" She actually asked me.
Okay. And I assume Marilyn is based on your court experiences, or
I've known two people that she is a merge of
oh, okay.
that were those kind of people. The thing about psychopaths and the most severe sociopaths is they're not like the rest of us. They're a different species. They're wolves, and the rest of us are just sheep.
Hmm.
We're humanity. We're humans. These people are different.
Right. And you wanted to write about that because.
Because who can once you know someone like that, you don't forget them. And if you're a
Mm,
writer, you got to write about them. You don't really have a choice. You probably know exactly what I mean.
yeah.
You know someone like that, uh, they stay with you, and you've got to write about them. That's just the way it
Right.
is. And that's why my story is the kind of story it is, because these are the characters that I have to write about.
Right. Okay. Uh, so in Murder by Storm, you've got, I assume it's a cat and mouse game between Marilyn and Sims?
Yes, and the thing about Sims, uh, Sims is not only the detective, but he's my comic relief. Because when you have a high stress story like this, you've got to have comic relief.
Right.
And so Sims has several characteristics of also people I've never, or characteristics of people I've never been able to forget.
Mm,
And they pepper the book in what I think is a comical way. Like Sims has this mustache, and I've only seen one person with a mustache like this in my whole life. And that's why I had to include in one of my characters
mm,
that moves independently from the rest of his face or what he's saying. It's like a different creature. It's like not connected. And when you watch him talk, it's like that's all you can look at because you can't, you don't know what's going on with that thing.
right.
And Sims have that. I've only the man that I've met that has that mustache. It's the weirdest thing I ever saw.
Right.
And there's funny characteristics about him that if you're from Texas or from Houston, readers from there are going to not think it's unusual, but readers from the rest of the country or the world are going to be think it's completely bizarre. Like that he wears cowboy boots everywhere. Well, a lot
Right.
of people wear cowboy boots every day in Texas, but I can
Right.
tell you, I lived in Georgia for 3 years. I just moved back to Houston just this summer.
Mm.
And I would wear cowboy boots about once a week, and people thought I'd lost my mind, that I was some kind of old man hipster.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ugh.
I can
There's
see
all
that.
sorts of things about Sims that's that way. He's a
Right.
know-it-all, but he's pretty much right about everything,
Right.
right?
Okay. So, which character do you like writing more?
Uh, Most of the time, because I've been so obsessed with Marilyn, I've enjoyed Marilyn,
Hmm. Right.
right? But I get the stress, but I have a lot of stress when I write about Marilyn. Uh, and when I read about O.C. Sims, even when he does things well, it's funny. And
Okay.
so I think I think at this point, I'm having more fun writing about OC
Okay.
because there's all sorts of weird things that happen.
Hmm.
Uh, this isn't telling any secrets. And every book I write, OC Sims gets shot. That's the thing. He gets shot in every book. I love doing it. Every book I shoot him.
Okay. That is funny. That is funny.
Yeah. Or in, uh, uh, he has this part of the story is he has this relationship. OC's about 40, 45 years old, never
Okay.
been married. Uh, he is trying to develop a relationship with a woman in the book
Mhm.
who's also about 40 years old. And and their whole relationship is part of the comic relief because every time they start getting serious, something weird happens
Okay.
and and it interrupts them. It's part of the jokes.
Okay. Very cool. So, you've written the second book. Is there a third book coming?
Oh yeah, murder by trial.
Murder by Trial. And I don't know, is it spoiler to say if the same characters are in it or?
Well, I won't say that, even though I used to, because it
Right.
turns out, uh, you know, let me tell you this story about juries. uh, when you try a case to a jury and they come down and they make a decision, and as lawyers, we always have, because we live the world of the facts, right? We know exactly why a jury is going to make a decision. But once the jury decides and you actually start asking members of the jury why, sometimes they stun you for the reasons that they make the decision. They're like nothing you would expect. That's
Mm,
true with novels too. Readers will come away with stuff that you never expected them to.
right. Right.
And that has happened with Murder by Storm. So
Mm,
I have learned there's things that I used to say because I just assumed it was obvious that the readers have just reinterpreted it. So I have to be more careful. So I can't
right.
even answer your question anymore.
Okay. So it took you 3 books to get to a trial, to a jury.
Yes, because part of this, that's part of the story I want to tell.
Okay.
I worked for the district attorney's office as an intern while I was in law school on a change of venue triple capital murder trial.
Okay.
And uh, there's a lot of things that happened during those, and I wanted to write about that. But I
Mm,
also wanted to write about something that most people don't know, and that
mm,
is, you the juries will make a decision, and the public sometimes can be outraged by it because they know that it's obvious that the jury made for some reason the wrong decision.
right.
And there's the truth is there's facts that a public knows. There's facts that the lawyers, the police, and the judge know. And there's a whole separate set of facts that a jury gets to hear and make their decision on. And those are
Right.
three sets of facts
Right.
sometimes. And sometimes they don't connect.
Mm,
And I wanted to write about that.
okay.
Uh,
That's
and
interesting. Yeah.
and so that is something I wanted to write about.
Mm,
Uh, and I also wanted to uh, uh, turn the tables and make the good bad and the bad good.
wow. Okay. Interesting.
And
Yeah.
the third thing I wanted to do, have you ever read Dungeons of the Confederacy? It won a
No.
Pulitzer Prize in the 20s. It's a story about New Orleans. There's this grotesque character that is unforgettable.
Mm,
And he's kind of he both repulses you, but you can't stop thinking about him. And it's a model that you see sometimes in TV as other writers write, like the worst parts of George Costanza or that sort of thing. And
right.
I wanted to write about. I wanted to write and find a character that both repelled the reader, but would make the reader think about them while they're driving down the road.
Mm,
And I found that character. It took me a long time to find that character, but I want to develop a character like that too.
mm. Interesting. Yeah. Because I'm trying to think like characters that repel people, but that they find fascinating. I'm thinking like always comes to mind to me is like a Hannibal Lecter kind of character. They're so
Right, but I don't mean that kind of repel. I don't mean
okay.
morally repel. I
Okay.
mean like socially obtuse.
Okay.
You know, uh, I would not want to spend time around this person because he doesn't have any clue of what's going on. You know, a
Okay.
lower level.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Very cool. All right. So how far along is your third book?
Oh, I guess I'm about a fourth there. I was
Okay.
probably halfway, and I woke up one morning with a great idea and started over to the
Okay.
anxiety and hate of my publisher.
Well, I'm sure I'm sure that they're kind of used to that now dealing with you.
Lou, they're not.
No.
They're not. They're not, Lou. But
Okay.
from your laughing, I can tell you can imagine just what I heard from them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, very good. So, you're currently in this series. Are you ever contemplating writing something different, something out of the series?
Well,
New
I've written two
characters?
children's books,
Okay, wow.
but It's really not my area. It's just because I was one day I was blackmailed to go to my granddaughter's grandparents' day,
All
which
right.
is a person like mine's worst nightmare because I have to sit there through all these kids doing stuff, just not my grandkid.
Mm-hmm.
And and when after that was over, we went to the classroom, and my granddaughter, who was about 4 or 5 at the time, came running up with this stuffed elephant and said, uh, "This is my favorite. This pops. This is my favorite animal." And I was like, "Boom!" Uh, I had this huge idea after I was finally released. Uh, I went to the cigar bar, lit up a big cigar, and wrote a children's story about my granddaughter and helping the baby elephant.
Oh,
And then I wrote another one. And the whole idea, I've always been concerned about the greater fauna of Africa. The
mhm.
elephants, rhinoceroses, hippos, etc. Uh,
Okay.
and about the theories on how to help those animals survive to the next generation.
Wow.
And so it's basically a story to make children care about the greater African fauna, which
Awesome.
is it's a grandiose statement, but it's just
Mhm.
about a child helping a baby elephant in a zoo.
Oh, cool. And this is a published book?
Yes,
Okay. And is it, I assume it's illustrated as well, or?
it is, but it's in a short series that hasn't that is not still in publication. I'm going to have to
Okay.
republish it
Okay.
separately.
Oh, okay. Very cool. All right. So you've done that. Anything else that tickles your fancy?
I travel all over the world,
Mm,
and so between that and trying to get this next book written, that's the year for me.
okay. Very cool. And what do you have a publication date for your third book?
Well, I did until I started over. I don't right now. It's it. I'm not a writer that can write a book in 6 months. I'm not
Okay.
that guy.
Okay.
It's going to take me all year. And remember, I said I'm a rewriter, not a writer.
Right.
So it's going to take me all year to write the book and then to rewrite it and then to edit it. So
Okay.
if I'm finished with this, my purpose is to be finished with the book by the end of the year. That, and you and I both know that doesn't mean publish.
Right.
You and
Yeah.
I both know that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, who knows when it'll be published?
Right. Right. Okay. All righty. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention that hasn't come up yet?
No, I've enjoyed talking to you, Lou.
Okay, same here. You're quite the colorful character yourself. So,
That could be good. That could be bad.
well, there you go.
All right, there you go.
There you go. You never know.
I don't know what "there you go" means. I don't know.
Well, yeah, let's. I'll leave that up to you to decide. No, I had a blast talking to you. Um, I do kind of get a chuckle about you constantly mentioning cigar bars. That's not something that I'm really familiar with, and but I assume it's sort of your version of going to a coffee shop.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, there you go. All right, sir. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for taking the time to do this interview. And I wish you all the best with your future projects.
You too, Lou.
You take care now, and till next time. And maybe in a couple of years, we'll talk about your next book. All right, now, bye bye.